you also did $1 million launch when you are entering into the membership sites and all. So how does someone launch their first ever membership from scratch and get their first 100 membership clients? What is the framework? Is there any framework you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Hey guys, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. This is where we interview entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants who are expert in their niche. And in this amazing series of interviews, today we have a super awesome guest with us. He is a membership site expert. He is the creator of Tribe. He helps experts, authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, and all types of business owners transforming their business, their knowledge, expertise and influence into recurring revenue by launching and growing a scaling membership business. As a former founder of the world's first membership platform for WordPress, which list member, he had the chance to serve and support over 60,000 online community and membership sites, which is crazy. With his knowledge and experience, he helped his clients to launch and grow multiple high-end 6 and 7-figure membership sites. He is a funnel hacking live speaker. So without further ado, let's have Stu McLaren on the stage. Hi, Stu.
Can you hear me okay? Can you
Yeah,
hear
now
me?
it's perfect. Now it's
Okay,
perfect.
cool.
How are you?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really awesome. And first of all, really thank you for being a part of the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. It's really glad to have you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
Yeah, super. So are you hearing loud and clear before we proceed further?
Sorry, what was that?
My voice is loud and clear.
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
Awesome, perfect. So, guys, if you are watching us on live, drop hashtag live. Watching us on replay, drop hashtag replay. And if you have any question, just drop in the chat box. You all going to get the answer from us too. And so, are we good to go? Are you there?
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, perfect. So, Stu, you started your journey as an motivational speaker. I found in research that you are a motivational speaker and you give speeches in schools, and now you are focusing on membership site. Would you like to share how this transition happened and what is the story behind it?
Well, yeah, you went way back. I mean, when I graduated university, I had a job lined up with a well-known company up here in Canada. And it was everything that my parents had wanted. You know, it was great pay. I was going to be earning more than both of them combined right out of university, which they were thrilled with. Had benefits, company car, all the things. But I knew inside me, like in my gut, that like the corporate world was not the path for me. And so I resigned actually before I started, and I began my career as a speaker. And I was speaking to high school students and college students about how to use their creativity to get better grades, to land jobs, to win over the boyfriend or girlfriend of their dreams. Like it was all about how to use their creativity because it had made a huge difference for me as I was going through university. I went from failing out in my first year to graduating top of my class because I learned how to develop my creative abilities. So that's why I started speaking. But I quickly learned that schools could only afford so much, and I could only speak so many times a year, and you multiply the two together, and that was my maximum earning potential. And I wanted to get beyond that. And it led me to a mentor of mine who taught me a lot about how to package my information and what I knew, how to serve different markets. And I started doing that. I started serving more entrepreneurial markets, helping them leverage their creative abilities to generate new product ideas, to generate new marketing campaigns and promotions. That eventually led me to becoming an affiliate manager because one of the speakers that I was helping at the time said to me, you know, have you ever thought about being an affiliate manager? And I said, no, like I didn't even know what that was. This was like in 2005. And he said, well, I think you'd be really good because one, you got a great marketing mind. Two, you are a great trainer, and 3, you're great with people. He said, those are the skill sets of a great affiliate manager. And I'd love to bring you on board as an affiliate manager. So I said, sure. So he was my first client. And long story short, this was in 2005. To put this in perspective, this was before YouTube had launched. Like, that's how far back it was, right? So we don't even imagine right now a life without YouTube, but that's when it was. And so we were doing $1 million launches back then, before even YouTube had launched, and word spread. And before I knew it, I had this affiliate management business that had ballooned, and it was awesome. I was earning great money. Things were rocking and rolling. But the problem was I was burning the candle at both ends. And I just got married in 2007. My wife and I were thinking about having kids. And I realized that I couldn't keep working night and day for all these clients, even though I was earning great money. So I had to make a change. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was explaining the issue. And he said, you should start a membership site and teach everything that you're doing with your clients, but to, everybody else. And I was like, well, what's a membership site? And he's like, well, it's where, you're going to teach one time and people are going to pay for access to you each and every month. I said, that sounds great. But then this was in 2008, and the technology then is not what it is today. And I was like getting caught up with like HT access files and server settings and all this stuff that was way over my head. So I was moaning and groaning to another friend of mine, Tracy, and I just said, dude, all I want to do is I just want to teach. Like, I don't want to deal with all this tech stuff. And he said, well, why don't you create your own solution? And I was like, is he even listening to me? Like, I'm sitting here telling him that I'm having trouble with the tech, and he's telling me that I should go and create my own solution? And so I said to him, dude, no, I'm not going to go and do that. And he said, well, why don't we just team up and we'll create it together? And ultimately we did. And that went on to become the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress, which is called Wishlist Member.
Yeah.
And we ended up serving literally tens of thousands of people, helping them launch and grow their online communities and memberships. And so being behind the scenes of literally tens of thousands of online communities and memberships, I started to see patterns. I started to see patterns of what was working and what wasn't working, and what were the few memberships that were growing year over year doing differently from a content perspective, from a marketing perspective, to grow their memberships. And so since then, I eventually sold my shares in Wishlist. And from 2016 onwards, I have been helping now more than 15,000 plus people in our signature course called the Membership Experience. I've been helping them launch, grow, and scale profitable memberships. And then we also launched our new platform called Searchy.io, which is like the next generation, the next level of crafting a membership experience that helps your people get results. So I've been doing memberships and serving people in the membership world since 2008. And but my journey from a speaker of high schools to the membership guy was not a straight path, but it was really more one step in front of the other. Kept opening doors and led me here.
Quite amazing and inspiring journey with lots of value bomb, like learning, challenges, but all the things that make you strong, and then you become like, that is the thing, that is where I want to serve, and that's what my call, right?
Yeah,
Super.
absolutely. I think, as entrepreneurs, we often think that, the great idea is just going to like come down from the heavens and just bless us and magic, now we can start moving forward. But the truth of the matter is, so much of the entrepreneurial journey is just like doing stuff and trying stuff. And you learn like, okay, I like this little bit, I like that little bit, and you keep moving forward. And little by little, you go from, all these ideas out here, and you slowly narrow in to the few things that, you really enjoy, that you're really good at, and that you can make a great living with.
Super mic drop. And so you mentioned you also did $1 million launch when you are entering into the membership sites and all. So how does someone launch their first ever membership from scratch and get their first 100 membership clients? What is the framework? Is there any framework you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is like my wheelhouse, and we teach this day in and day out. And what I would say is that a lot of people way overthink the process of launching a membership. And what it does is it holds them back from ever moving forward because they're waiting until, first off, their audience is at a certain size. They think that they got to have tens of thousands or at least thousands of people. P.S. No, you don't. You only need a couple hundred. But they'll think that they need tens of thousands. So they'll wait and they'll wait and they'll wait. Or they'll think, oh, wait, I've got to have all this content and I got to have it all mapped out, and I got to create all this content before anybody joins it. So they spend all this time creating all the content. No, you don't. You don't need all that content. Or they'll think like, I've got to create this big master marketing plan, and I got to, get all the launch lined up and all these things. No, you don't. You just need to put an offer out there. And so we teach a process called the founding member launch. And it's super simple. You don't need tens of thousands or thousands. You just need a couple hundred people, whether that's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on an email list, in a Facebook group, wherever you're communicating with your audience. But with a couple hundred people, you can do a founding member launch. And the goal of a founding member launch is to get paying members into and committed to being in your membership. And then once they're in the membership, the goal is then to listen and to learn and to serve and to help them experience some kind of progress with what you're teaching in the membership. Because now these people create for you the greatest marketing asset you can have, which are your stories of progress and your stories of success. Nobody joins a membership because they just want access to a whole bunch of stuff. What they're joining for is they want to make and experience some kind of progress in their life. So for you and I, our goal is that we just got to zero in on serving people and helping them make some kind of progress. And we can kind of unpack that a little bit later if we want. But the fastest way to launch the membership is to make a post of some kind, whether, again, depending on the platform where your audience is, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, email list, wherever it is, you're going to communicate 5 things. Thing number 1 is you're going to talk about your idea and where this idea came from. And it might start off by saying something like, I was listening to this crazy Canadian who was delivering a Facebook Live, and he was talking about how quickly to go from an idea to actually creating a membership where you're bringing amazing people who have a shared interest together, who are committed to experiencing progress in some area of their life. And that got me thinking. That's the key line. That got me thinking. Now, step number 2 is then you cast the vision for what you see this membership potentially becoming. And you want to be upfront and honest. You say, that got me thinking. Maybe I could create a community for people like us, people who are committed to XYZ, people who are, who have the idea of going from where they are to where they want to be, people who want to be around and surrounded by other like-minded, positive individuals, people who share a passion and an interest for XYZ topic. And so you start casting that vision, and then you start talking about what kind of an impact that would have on the lives of those who were in that community. And I start using language like, imagine how much more progress you'd make being surrounded by and supported by others who were on that journey. Imagine the kind of progress you'd make being able to tap into the wisdom and knowledge of people who are 1 step, 5 step, 10 steps ahead of you. Imagine being able to tap into frameworks and systems and processes that help you learn XYZ better, faster, easier, versus trying to figure it all out on your own, versus trying to piece all this random information that you're gathering online and trying to experience, versus trying to patch conversations that you may be having sporadically all over the place to figure out what are the few things that are actually relevant to you that are actually going to help you experience progress. Nobody wants all that. We just want a straightforward path, and we want to be supported on that journey. That's what I see happening for this membership. So step number 1 is the idea. Step number 2 is you cast the vision. Step number 3 is now you want to extend an invite. And so you want to say something in that post like, now this membership is not created yet. It's just right now an idea. However, if you like the idea, then I want to invite you to come and join me as a founding member. And I don't have like a big fancy sales page. I don't have like, launch videos. I don't have a webinar. I don't have any of that stuff because right now it's just a raw idea. But if you are interested, then what I want to do is I want to extend a founding member launch price. This will be like the absolute rock bottom price that you'll ever find for this membership. But I'm doing that because we haven't created yet. We're going to actually create it together. And you're actually going to have tremendous influence over what content is created because I'm going to be interacting with you. I'm going to be asking you. I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to be seeking feedback from you. And so in that process, you're inviting them to come and join you. And step number 4 in this is then you have a call to action. Like, where do people go if they want to join? So I've done this a whole bunch of different ways over the years. I've used the same process to launch masterminds, live events, memberships, courses. I've used it to launch software, like same process. Now, in all those years, in the past, I have thrown out an idea and I've said, and if you like this idea, type in the comments like I'm in or I want in or whatever. I've stopped doing that. And the reason is because I have an ego. And it sucks if nobody says I'm in, right? Like, I don't want people to know that, nobody liked my idea, whatever. So what I do instead is I say, if you would like to join as a founding member, send me a direct message. Now, what's magical about that is nobody knows if one person sent you a direct message, 100 people sent you a direct message, or 1,000 people sent you a direct message. So my fragile little ego gets protected. But then at the same time, I can engage in conversation with those people who are reaching out. And then I could just send them a straight up PayPal link. Like, I was teaching this at one of our live events, and there was a woman in the audience. Her name was Anna Saucier. And she had a Facebook group that had about 600 infertility practitioners. And she's hearing me say this, and she had been thinking about a membership for a while, but she had never just like taken that next step. And so she heard me sharing this story and she's like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. So in the event, she made the Facebook post for this Facebook group following these steps that I'm outlining here for you. And so people started sending her a direct message. She didn't have a fancy sales page. She didn't have launch videos or none of that. She just sent people a straight up PayPal link. Now, by the end of the event, so 2 days later, she had generated over $5,400 from people who bought into the idea and wanted to be one of her founding members. And so I share this because, again, we overthink it, we over-engineer it, we overanalyze it, but just a straight up checkout link is all you need to be able to send these people. So step 1 is the idea. Step 2 is the vision. Step 3 is the invite. Step 4 is the call to action. And then step 5, and this is most important, is the follow-up. Because you got all the warm and fuzzies when people send you direct message and they say, yeah, I'm in, I want to be a part of it. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, it's working. This feels so good. But if you don't send them the link, like if you don't follow up with them and close that loop, then all you're going to have are the warm and fuzzy feelings. So it breaks my heart because I have literally walked thousands of people through this process. And I can tell you that the follow-up is the thing that gets dropped. So people are like, oh my gosh, like I've had like 54 people send me a direct message. I'm like, that's awesome. How many of the 54 who sent you the direct message have actually paid? Well, none. Why not? Well, they haven't sent them the link yet. Get on it. Send them a link. Like, that's the final piece of the whole thing. If you don't send them a link, they're never going to sign up. So those are the 5 steps: idea, vision, invite, call to action, and then follow up.
And in entire 5-step framework, the most, if we can see, the invite process is something very crucial, because people are not inviting just because they don't have a sexy funnel, sexy video sales letter, what you mentioned right now, and you have to invite them without being perfectionist, and then you are going to get it right.
Yeah. That's here's the amazing part about this. Like, you're getting paid before you do any of that stuff, right? Like, you're getting paid before you do any of that. And why that's magical is because, again, just like you said, we get hung up on trying to create the sexy funnel, the perfect follow-up sequence, and the email campaigns for this and the upsells for that and this and that. None of that matters. Like at the end of the day, you're putting out an offer and you're inviting people to respond. And based on the response, you're just sending them a quick checkout. Now, can we optimize that after the fact? 100%. But don't let that become the thing that stops you from gaining momentum of actually launching. Now, I know that there are people watching and listening and are probably watching the replay afterwards. And I know the first thought that's going through their mind is like, it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. It can't be that simple of just inviting people based on an idea when you don't even have anything. You don't even have a members area. Like, Stu, what are you going to do? Like, you get these people signed up and now you don't have anything? Like, how are you going to do? It's all about managing expectations. The first thing is just get over step one, which is just sending out the invite. Step two is like once people have signed up, now it's about managing the expectations. You've already communicated that you have not created anything. You've already communicated that this is going to be a collaborative effort. So you just book a live call, the following week. And that's the call that you invite all of those new members to. And then again, you reiterate like what the idea is, you reiterate the vision, and you invite them to participate in this process. And you talk about like how they're there because they have a passion and a commitment from going from maybe not knowing how to play the guitar to becoming the next campfire hero when all their friends are shouting out songs and they're able to play them on cue, or not knowing how to paint and becoming a great artist, or being a terrible parent and becoming an amazing parent, or being completely out of shape and being in the best shape of their life. Like whatever that transformation is, you got to talk about those two worlds, the before world and the after world. But in that, they're there as part of this membership because they're committed to that journey. And you want to talk about that journey. And you want to talk about how you're there to help them guide them through that journey. And in order to do that, you want to learn about who they are and why are they committed to this journey and what's keeping them stuck and what can you do and create to support them in that journey. And that's the important part about a membership is removing yourself from being and thinking that you're the sole source of all ideas. Truth of the matter is, all we are there to do is to serve our people. When they've got questions, we go get the answers. When they are stuck, we help get them unstuck. When they're unclear, we provide that clarity of how to go from where they are to where they want to be. And so in that first call, that's what you're talking about. You're casting that vision. You're casting the vision of that journey. And you're talking about how in the beginning, this is going to be a more collaborative effort to help you gain the clarity of how to best serve your people. And in doing so, you're committed to creating content and you're committed to creating an experience that's going to help them get the best result possible. And so that's how it all begins. And, obviously I'm tremendously biased because we have our own membership platform called Searchy.io. It is the world's best, bar none. Again, I'm very biased. But the bottom line is that you can whip up a members area very, very quickly. And you can make it so easy where you can integrate with like Zoom or whatever, or Facebook as an example, so that the moment you're finished that live, it is sent to Searchy and it's transcribed, it's captioned the video, the whole video is completely searchable, and it's automatically added into the members area so that you are beginning to build your membership based on your live calls. So again, people get in their head about this whole process. The key thing is to keep it simple and most importantly, get it going.
Get it going. Keep simple and get it going is something makes you the desired result that you are looking for. And that's the real secret to win where you want to achieve, right? Awesome.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I attended your FHLs in 2022 because of FHL Encore, and in your FHL speech you share 9 high profile profit membership funnel. So out of 9 high profit membership funnel, which one are you using the most in your business, or which one is the most profitable membership funnel for you? Would you like to share?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because there are different types of membership funnels based on what stage you are in your membership journey. So for example, like there's membership funnels that I would never recommend to somebody who's in the earlier stages just starting out. And then, but what happens, like in a membership journey, what typically is going to happen is the membership will, if you follow what we teach, by the way, I just got to put an asterisk beside that. Like, following what we teach is the most guaranteed way to have success. But what's going to happen in our community is memberships get off to a fast start. Then once you get up to about like, and we typically in those scenarios, we're using more launch funnels because it creates urgency for people to join, in that whole, in that whole promotion. The worst thing that you can do, especially in the beginning, is have a membership that's open all the time, and there's no reason for people to join. There's no urgency. Because if you don't create that urgency, Fred just said it in the comments, if you don't create that urgency, then here's what happens. People will be like, ooh, this looks good. I'm going to save this for later. That's the kiss of death for all of us business owners who are selling any kind of product. I'm going to give you a real world example of this. So I'm logging into my Instagram account.
Something crazy is coming.
And I'm pulling up my saved folder. I don't know if anybody watching does this, but anytime I'm on Instagram and I see products that I like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to save that to this folder. And I have a folder here, literally of like hundreds and hundreds of products, thousands, probably thousands. Like I just scrolling of products that when I first saw it in my stream, I'm like, yes, I love that. I would buy that, right? And so I saved them. And here's the crazy part. Of these thousands of products that are in this save folder, guess how many I've bought?
Might be, not sure, 100 or 0, not sure.
I bought one.
Oh,
of the
wow.
thousands that I have seen and that I've like, ooh, that is good, I want that, I've bought one. Okay. And the only reason I bought that one, and it was an expensive buy, by the way, it was an electric bike, and I bought two of them, one for me and one for my wife. But the reason I bought it was because it had a deadline. It had a deadline. And so, again, inexperienced people with memberships who don't know what they're doing or haven't followed our methodology, the mistake they often make from a marketing perspective is they have their membership open all the time and they have zero urgency for people to join today. So in the beginning, when you're launching a membership, you're going to utilize different types of funnels that create that urgency, that give people a reason to join today. Now, there's going to come a point in time when you get to, usually it's right around 2,000, 3,000 members, where the launch funnel is going to plateau, meaning like you're going to essentially, you'll rise up and then you'll kind of plateau, and the number of members you gained is equivalent to the number of members you've lost in between launches. So you end up staying right around the same mark. And that's when you begin utilizing different types of funnels where now you're better equipped to be able to invest in evergreen funnels that take more time and money to be able to get dialed in. But like as an example, like Scott Paley and Joan Gary, they own a membership called the Nonprofit Leadership Lab. And so they serve nonprofit leaders, and they got to about that 2,500 member mark and they began to plateau. So then they shifted, started utilizing more evergreen launch funnels. And what ended up happening is now they've grown to more than 5,000 plus members. But setting up that evergreen process, it takes time and it takes money. And it takes knowing your audience really, really well, which is why I don't recommend it in the early stages. Because in the early stages, you're figuring that stuff out. You don't have like this excess pool of cash to be able to just pour into Evergreen to test and figure these things out. But in this case with Joan and Scott, they had been running that membership for 2 years and had gotten up to roughly around 3,000 members. Then they had known their market so well, they felt comfortable being able to invest in it and be able to utilize different strategies. So there were 9 funnels that we shared at FHL. but not all are created equal. It really depends on what stage you're in your membership journey as to which
Yeah.
ones you're going to utilize.
True. That's completely awesome, and lots of mic drop ideas you just shared with us, because this is something you shared inside the funnel hacking live speech, and you brought down some great insights, some great ideas to us. So really appreciate you for that. Thank you for sharing this. Super. So on your website you have this one statement which is, the more money I make, the more impact I can have. And I saw lots of picture from of yours with your wife. You visited to Kenya, and you built schools for the children. Would you like to share some more about it, like how did you get the inspiration for this kind of social movement?
Well, I can't take credit for it at all. It's all my wife. My wife is the absolute genius behind it and the visionary behind it. But what she taught me was early in our career, she was always traveling. She loves to travel, and she loves to travel to remote areas of developing countries. And in one of her travels, she came back and she was just really inspired because she saw a whole lot of kids in these remote areas that wanted to go to school but couldn't because they couldn't afford it, or the school wasn't nearby, or whatever it might be. Now, that was always bubbling in the back of her mind. And one year, we were watching, Oprah used to have a show called The Big Give. And she would go into a community in North America. She would contribute, I don't know, something like around $100,000. And they would transform some family's life. And Amy and I love those kinds of shows. We love being inspired by people doing good and helping others. And after this one particular show, Amy turned to me and she said, you know what? Like, we should do that in a developing country. And I'm a supportive husband. I'm like, yeah, for sure. We should totally do that. Like, when are you thinking? And she said, I think we should do it over the Christmas holidays. Now I got to put this into perspective. This was like 2 weeks into December. So the Christmas holidays were literally like 2 weeks later. And I said to her, I'm like, babes, you want to do this trip and raise money like in the next 2 weeks? And she said, yeah. She said, look, I'm the traveler. I'll look after all the travel arrangements. I'll figure out the community that we're going to go to and who we're going to help. She's like, you're the business guy. You figure out how to raise the money. And I was like, what? I'm like, geez. So we did what we knew best. And at that time, this was in 2007, there wasn't webinars. There wasn't like this kind of stuff. We went old school. We did a teleseminar. Russell was on it. Yeah, some incredible friends. And I just did a fundraiser. I just gathered these incredible people to share their predictions for the upcoming year. And from that, we raised $14,000. And then Amy and I went and we went down to El Salvador. That was our first community. And she always told me, she said, Stu, you'll really understand and appreciate the money that you give when you see the people you're giving it to. And I'd never forgot that. And so when we went down to El Salvador, it was an incredible experience, and we ended up paying for 59 girls to go to school. We, painted this new school classroom. We bought computers and printers for them. We did a whole bunch of amazing stuff. And I came back from that experience, and I remember sitting with her on the plane, and I looked at her and I said, I get it. Like, let's figure out how to make this happen. And so it took us a couple years, fast forward to 2009, and we officially became a charity. And I don't know why, but we both had a passion for Africa. And we're both drawn to that side of the world. We both can't explain it. It was just a natural magnetic force that was just pulling us that way. And we ended up starting and building schools in Kenya. And that was 14 years ago. And we were just reflecting on this because we had our first in-person board retreat since 2019 because of all of COVID. So we were reflecting on like, what has happened over these 14 years? And we've built 15 schools. Each school has anywhere between 600 to 800 kids. So more than 5,000 kids a day are going to these schools. And we partner with the Kenyan government. So it's like a partnership with the government. It's a partnership with the community. And our commitment is to come in and help build the school. The Kenyan government, their partnership is to fund the salaries of the teachers and to maintain the school. And then the partnership with the community is that they help care for the school and they commit to sending their kids to school on a regular basis. And I can just tell you that there was a transformative moment for me in my entrepreneurial journey when we were looking to build that first school, because we didn't have any experience with this. We didn't know what things cost or how to go about doing it or anything of that nature.
Yes.
But up to that point, I had actually struggled with feeling guilty about making money. And I never knew it on a conscious level then, but it was happening on a subconscious level where, I would self-sabotage in a way when I would get to a certain income level. When I'd get to around $400,000 a year in income, it's like my subconscious would be like, whoa, Stewie, like that's too much. That's like 4 times the amount that your parents are making, and you're not working anywhere near as hard as your parents. And so this guilt would sink in. And so I'd stop doing like campaigns that I knew would work. I'd stop calling clients. Like it was like a self-sabotaging behavior. And my income would come back down. And it was kind of like my subconscious would be like, okay, that's better. And so what was interesting was on this first trip to Kenya, when I'm asking the chairman of this community about how much things cost. And I said to him, how much does it cost to fund the full-time salary of a teacher? And he thought for a moment. And then he said, it's about $100 a month. Now, in that moment of him saying that, I had this light bulb moment because we were selling our membership software wish list for $97 a license.
Yes.
And I was just like, well, wait a minute. If I just sell one more license and I just allocate that to funding the full-time salary of a teacher, like imagine the impact we could have. And then the real light bulb went off, which was like, well, wait a minute. If I make a whole lot more money and I just dedicate a whole lot more to the people and causes I'm passionate about, imagine the impact I could have then. Now, I can tell you, yes. And that's when I realized, like, the more money I make, the more impact I can have. And I can tell you from that day forward, it was completely transformative. Because now I love telling the universe, listen, universe, I love making money. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because the more money we make, the more good we can do. We're just a steward of the money that we make. And so, if you got causes that you're passionate about, the more money you make, the more you can give to them. If you got people that you want to help, perhaps family members, friends, whatever it might be, the more money you make, the more of them you can help. If you got community efforts in your local community or things that your kids are participating in that you want to donate to, the more money you make, the more you can give. So making money is an incredible gift. And as entrepreneurs, we often forget the gift that we have to be able to go from an idea to actually creating value where people are paying us. That is a gift. The other thing about that is that there's no upside potential. There's no limit on how much you can make, and therefore no limit on how much you can give. So I love being an entrepreneur. I love making money. I love helping others make money. And the reason is because the more money we make, the more we can give to people and causes that we're passionate about.
And it is the real fulfillment. The reason I asked this question to you today only on the show, because most of the time people just see that I want to become an entrepreneur, I want to become a businessman just to make hell lot of money so I can live a lifestyle of luxurious lifestyle where I can go on sexy travel. It's not a wrong, but yes, the one thing, you have the tool, you have the capacity to serve the people. And if you are not utilizing it in that way, you are just doing it for sake of doing it.
Yeah. And I just think the one thing I want people to remember too is I'm not at all suggesting that we sacrifice our own lifestyle. Here's just a mind exercise I want people to play with. Okay. Yes. So Amy and I, my wife and I, we have a goal. We have a goal that to one day be able to work toward where we have inverse tithing. And what I mean by that is traditional tithing is you live on 90% of your income and you give 10% of it to people and causes that you're passionate about. Imagine if you flip that. Imagine living on 10% and giving away 90% of what you make. Now, oftentimes when I share this with people, people are like, I could never do that. And I ask why. I'm like, why? Well, let's say this is the mind exercise. Let's say that your cost of living is $1 million a year. Okay. Just for simple math, $1 million a year lets you live where you want to live, lets you travel where you want to travel, lets you have the things that you want to have, lets you have the experiences you want to have. $1 million a year. So what does that mean you need to make a year to be able to live on 10% and give away? It means you'd need to make $10 million a year so that you could live off $1 million a year and give away 9. Imagine that. This is the magic of being an entrepreneur. There's no limits. There's no limits. So I'm not at all suggesting that people sacrifice their life or their lifestyle. It's actually the opposite. I'm saying set bigger goals. Set bigger goals. You want to give more and live the lifestyle? Amazing. You can do both. So set bigger goals and just make it a part of who you are and what you do.
Set big goal and do it what you are, and definitely you are able to make it possible. And being an entrepreneur, your main goal is to serve people, the people who is looking to get value from you in your membership, in your coaching, as well as the people who are not able to afford it. So you also have the capacity to serve, so serve those people. For that you need to make a lot of money, literally mind blowing. And like we have people in the comment section like uh, that's universe, I love money, that's it, crazy, lots of great comments we have in the comment section. Super. uh, do we have a time for few more minutes?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes, and then I definitely got to get to my next one at the top of the hour. So I'm all yours until then.
Okay, so one more and one great question I have for, specifically this is for not for business owner but people who is in business and our parents. uh, every day when your childrens go to eat their lunch, you have a lot of pre-written notes for them to read before they eat. Would you like to share the 3 top values that you teach to your kids so other parents get value from that? They also go and teach the same values. 3 values.
Yeah, I think as parents, you know, the hardest thing as a parent of young kids, you know, my daughter is 11. She'll be 12 soon. My son turned 9 today. We were celebrating his birthday this morning. We got a big family celebration tonight.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I will definitely. But you know, like our kids are growing up in a generation that is completely different than, you know, when I grew up, right? Like, and so it's hard. It's hard as a parent because, you know, we just never know what we're doing and if it's actually going to shape and direct our kids in, you know, in a positive way. Like we're just, you know, we're trying stuff, right? Like as parents, we're trying and we're putting in the time. And so one of the things that I've just made a daily practice of is that every day I write a note on a sticky pad, like just like this size. And I just write the kids positive messages. And at the end of the day, when I think about, like, you asked for 3, like the 3, you know, that I would say are top priority in terms of things that I'm speaking to them about. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is kindness. You know, it amazes me how in the online space, like in comments and so forth, people can just get nasty and rude and just treat people crazy. I'll tell you a funny thing I was sharing with my team yesterday. We were playing around with Chat GPT and showing them how to give them different commands and stuff like that. And I was saying, I said, even when I'm putting in the commands, I'm asking politely. I'm saying, can you please do blah, blah, blah. And when it comes back, I say, thank you for that. Can you then do this? And my team's like, why are you like being so polite? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, it's a universe thing. Like if the robots ever take over, they'll look back on this and they'll say, you know what, though, Stu was always polite to us. We'll treat him well. Like, I don't know. It's just like a universe thing, right? So one of the things that I'm always trying to teach my kids, you know, from that perspective is to be kind, you know, to be kind to others. And so I amplify the moments when I notice them being kind, and I look for moments when they're being kind. And I talk about that. I give them ideas on how to be kind to their teachers and to their classmates and to their friends. So kindness is a huge one. Second one is generosity. We kind of talked about that, in terms of our, the beliefs that my wife and I have about making more and giving more. But what does that look like for kids? So I share a lot of thoughts about, generosity and how to show up generous and how to give to others, and how to look for opportunities to give to others. We do a thing every year called the Kindness Challenge, and they invite a bunch of their friends and their friends' families, and we go out and we go do a whole bunch of good deeds, good acts of kindness in the community. But practicing that on a regular basis, so that's ingrained in them. Kindness is ingrained in them. Generosity is ingrained in them. And then the third one is persistence. I believe if we want to become great at anything, we have to learn how to persist through challenges or obstacles that we may face along the way. It is so easy in today's day and age to just give up and move on to something else. And I believe if kids can learn the skill of being able to persist through different challenges, that skill set will set them up for life. It doesn't matter what they do, they will succeed. And I'll give you an example of this. So this year, my daughter started riding competitively in horse shows. This is like where they're going over jumps and, racing around and all the things. She's really good at it. And so she started competing this year. And there was one particular show where she went into the ring and she did her thing, but she knew right away that she had made a mistake and it cost her. And she knew right away that she wasn't going to place because she had made that mistake. So she came out of the ring and she was just beating herself up. She was hard on herself. She's, talking negatively to herself. And she was really upset. And in fact, her teammate had done the same thing, made the same mistake. So she was all upset, yada, yada, yada. But the thing was, she was going back into the ring to do a second round in about 10 minutes. So I said to Marla, girl, you got to get yourself focused here because you got to get it in the right frame of mind here because you're going back into the ring. If you're in the frame of mind that, that everything's a mistake, that you made all these mistakes, that is negative, 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 you're going to create even more negative and make even more mistakes when you go back into the ring. So you got to persist through this and you got to shift your energy and you got to shift your mindset. Now she was 11 at the time. And I give her so much credit because it was her and her teammate side by side who experienced the same thing. Now, Marla, after that talk, she just kind of went quiet and she just started focusing. She went back into the ring and she nailed it. She nailed it. And she went from the bottom of the ranks and she climbed all the way up and ended up placing 6th out of 50 plus kids, right? Now, her teammate did not get herself collected, went back into the ring and made all kinds of mistakes, and it was a disaster of a day. So I think when we teach our kids persistence of how to be able to work towards something, face challenges, face obstacles, and yet persevere through them and come out the other side, that's a skill set that I want to reinforce over and over and over again. So yeah, I write all these notes and my kids, they bring them home, they read them during the day. We were joking because my kids' friends actually joke. They're like, "What did your dad say today?" They all but they bring them back and we put them on our fridge. And every year, we save all of these notes, but it's a reminder for them of the values that we deem important so that we can try to hopefully set them up, for success in life.
Yes, and it is a great reminder, by the way, because the kindness, the generosity, and the persistency, it is not only a kid need, it is everybody need who is on the phase of growing, who is into this entrepreneurship, who is on the way to making something an impact. And the real value we can add on our life is by giving them a right message at the right time. And that is the way to setting the great value system in our kids in the life for lifelong for future. Stu, really awesome and really glad that you come on the show and you serve with lots of golden nuggets, mic drop ideas, a lot of information, lots of life learning from you. Really grateful for you on for being a part of my show. Really grateful for you. Thank you so much. Where do people can find you?
Well, easiest way to find me is on Instagram. It's my name. So if people see my name, just put that all together. Now, I will tell you, there's a whole bunch of spammers that are trying to, duplicate my account. Just make sure that my name is spelled exactly as you see it
I'm
on the screen.
dropping the link in the
Okay, sweet.
description.
But if people want to learn about memberships, here's what I would say.
Yes, please.
I've been doing this for a long time, literally decades, since 2008, helping tens of thousands of people in all kinds of different markets, from photography and calligraphy to fitness and finance and music and art and dog training. We even have people in our community like Holly George who have created a membership with thousands of people in balloon animal making. So like, you name the niche, I guarantee you I have helped serve somebody in that niche. If you got interest in potentially even remotely starting a membership site, I want you to go and download our free guide. We have a free guide, which you can find at themembershipguide.com. And when you do go there, the reason you'll want to download it is because I walk through 10 of the most popular questions I get asked about membership sites. Like, how do I price my membership? What kind of content should I provide in my membership? How should I structure? All these kinds of questions I get asked day in and day out. And so we answered them. And not only that, but we provided examples and case studies where you can actually see what and how people have implemented the things that I'm teaching. It is a great resource. You can get it free by going to themembershipguide.com.
Perfect. I am going to share each and every link in the description, guys. Go and check that out and show your love to Stu McLaren for sharing lots of golden nugget with us. Thank you so much, Stu, for being a part of the show. And guys, thank you so much for being here till the end, Fred. And I'm not able to read few people's name, but thank you so much. Really appreciate you. This side, Nilesh Jain and Stu McLaren is signing off. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.